Cronus has his own dimension. Nectamoon stands at attention. Shiver in anticipation. 'Tis the hour of devastation. Razaketh has come and fallen. Scorpion God is creepy crawling. Locust blotting out the skies. Scarab God eternalize. Pharaoh, yeah! Dragon hides himself away. He only started the war. Why should he come out to fight? He's still got minions galore. Yeah! Rona's challenge to protect his crop. Facing the scorpion.
I really like these gods. These are some of my favorite gods I think that Wizards has ever done.
They got their own shtick.
Yeah, they do. I still think it would have been really cool to have them be god zombies or zombie gods. I think that would have been... I think that would have been perfect. Because they are. They're undead bug gods.
Oh, yeah.
They're so cool.
I guess they are. Zombie gods.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, didn't they have the god sarcophagi at GP Vegas?
They had a big pile of sand that they were carving into a pretty cool looking sculpture, and they had the card hidden in there.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I didn't see them open it up, but I think there was a funny story about it on Brainstorm Brewery.
Oh yeah? I missed that.
Yeah. Because apparently 12 tons of sand weighs a lot.
Well, what's heavier, 12 tons of sand or 12 tons of feathers? Yeah.
I think 12 tons of dead god dust weighs more than either of the other two. Should we start? Do we have a funny thing?
You're a funny thing.
Thanks.
It's Commander Time.
Welcome to Commander Time. We are yet another podcast about the Magic the Gathering format known as Commander. I'm Nate Burgess.
I'm Dean Goody.
And I'm Patrick Sapola.
And today we are talking about the Gods of Devastation. Then we might talk about some games we played. Actually, we will talk about some games we played.
Yeah, we got to do that.
And then we'll tell you what our pets have been doing, and then maybe you'll hear a goofy song. But first, shout out to our patron of the week, Jacob Schieffer. Patrick, you had an interesting house rule.
Yeah.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah, my friends and I have fallen to a turn 1 command tower into Sol Ring so many times that we've just decided that if you do have a turn 1 command tower into Sol Ring, you win. But everybody else just keeps going as if it didn't happen. You get to shuffle up and then just play your next turn as if you were the last person to go around on the table.
Yeah, seems fair.
Yeah. I mean, if it was a 1v1 game, I mean, why would you do that? But in like a 5-person game, there's enough time for you to shuffle up and get another hand.
I think in 1v1 you just scoop, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you would just scoop and just be like, hey, do you want to play again? Like, I mean, there's a reason why they banned Sol Ring in 1v1.
Yeah, they did.
Mm-hmm.
What will you guys do if they ban Sol Ring?
Retire the rule?
We'd have less variance in our games.
Yeah. There'd be less explosive starts.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You couldn't do that sweet turn 1 Sol Ring Signet play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, the reasoning behind it is that you have all your colors and you're ahead on mana by so much, no matter what, that you're gonna have a very commanding lead. And also, my friends and I are continuously making jokes. And
no.
Yeah.
You?
Yeah.
No.
Me. I know. I'm the serious one of the group.
Yeah, definitely.
But it turns out we cannot stop ourselves From making dumb rules.
Wait, there's more?
Oh, well, there's a lot more if we want to go into flavor, Commander, but that has a lot of very silly rules to it.
So is Commander just a giant drinking game with you guys?
None of us really drink.
Oh.
I mean, there's a couple of us who drink, but not really at the like weekly gathering of us. So it's just we basically become 12-year-olds who just can't stop laughing at our dumb jokes.
All right.
I mean, that's where I get my theatrical flair for when I'm playing games and I'm clearly going to lose. It's all about making yourself die in the most interesting way sometimes.
Like flinging your own Ant Queen at your face?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
That'll sting.
Ah, Ant Queen to the face!
Speaking of bugs in your face...
The main topic.
Today, each of us brewed up one of the new gods of Hour of Devastation. Dean took the Scorpion God, Patrick took the Scarab God, and they gave me the Locust God, because these guys didn't want me playing black, red, or black and blue. So they gave me these at one.
Turns out it was equally a bad choice. It was still a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
yeah, it was.
I have certain feelings about it, but
oh, you have feelings?
We can get it. Yeah, we can get into that later.
Yeah, we will. All right. So let's start off with Dean and the Scorpion God.
Yeah.
Which is not really a bug, it's an arachnid.
Mm-hmm.
Fair. Yeah, so the Scorpion God was the first one that got spoiled, and I geeked out about it and said we had to do this episode. The Scorpion God is a 6/5 legendary creature god for 3 black-red. He says, whenever a creature with a -1/-1 counter on it dies, draw a card. You can pay 1 black and red and put a -1/-1 counter on another target creature. And when the Scorpion God dies, return it to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. My build focused on controlling the board with -1/-1 counters and controlling opponents' hands with discard effects. And then once I got control of the board, my intent was to beat everyone's face in with the really beefy body of the Scorpion God and also maybe some token swarm stuff. But that didn't really happen too well.
Yeah, I didn't see any tokens.
Yeah, I really only had Nest of Scarabs in here. Nest of Scarabs and Waste Not. So I could make zombies or I could make the Scarab tokens. I found that the Scorpion God played, or maybe it was just my build, but it played a little bit like my Corlash Heir to Blackblade deck, or what I imagine Toshiro Umezawa plays like, where you're constantly trying to remove all of your opponent's things and then just attacking in with your commander. If I was trying to play that up, I might put in some more equipment into this deck next time to try to beef up the Scorpion God and get in for the Voltron kill.
Yeah, I think Voltron needs more equipment.
Yeah, definitely. But 6/5 body is still no slouch for 5 mana. So, for -1/-1 counter spamming, I used the Archfiend of Ifnir from Amonkhet, who turned out to be pretty awesome as long as I had him on the board. Which I think was just game 3. Is that right, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, it was just game 3.
Couldn't draw into him in game 1 or 2. So he is a 5/4 flyer for 3 black, and whenever you cycle or discard another card, put a -1/-1 counter on each creature your opponents control. And that was a pretty huge advantage when I got that going. I was playing Wheel Effects to make myself discard and draw a bunch of cards along with my opponents. So I was spamming the whole board with the -1/-1 counters and drawing a bunch of cards. I used Wheel Effects, kind of like a Nekasar deck, except with -1/-1 counters instead of, damage from Nekasar. On top of that, in order to keep my opponents off of being able to do much, I ran like a bottomless pit package. So everybody's discarding cards all the time at the beginning of their upkeep, during my upkeep, or whenever I attack with Stronghold Rats. And that was actually pretty effective. Also, game 3. Game 1 and 2, I just had too slow of a start, and I got overrun by Nate's angry bees.
Not the bees.
Technically, I think they would just be locusts. I think that's kind of the idea.
I know. They are locusts. But come on, bees are hilarious.
And a locust is actually a type of grasshopper.
Yep.
Yes, it is. Yeah, so if I want to tune this deck a little bit, I had a lot of success with Nykthos. I might need to add in like a Cryptghast, Magus the Coffers, and maybe some other more aggressive ramp things. Maybe a few more Mana Rocks too. And Madness was pretty good. Big Game Hunter was almost relevant, but Patrick countered it. And I was running from under the floorboards, but I never actually got to use it. I think I would consider adding Avacyn's Judgment and maybe a couple of other Madness cards to get some more value from my discard engines.
What's that card do?
Avacyn's Judgment. When you cycle it, you can pay, I think it's X in red, and it deals X damage divided among any number of target creatures and/or players.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, I did have sort of a secondary win con. So since I was running so many wheels, I wanted to capitalize on those. So I ran sort of the Nekasar package, Liliana's Caress, Megrim, and Waste Not, in order to try to eat my opponent's life totals that way.
Right. And Words of Waste?
Yeah, Words of Waste, that wasn't really to eat at your life totals, but it did certainly eat at your hand that one game.
Nom nom. Do you have a Guess Grimoire?
It is in there. Yes.
Okay.
So whenever an opponent discards a card, I draw a card, as long as that's out. And then I just ran, sort of a -1/-1 counter package with Contingent Engine and some Wither enablers. Blight Sickle to give the equipped creature Wither. Corrosive Mentor gives all my black creatures Wither. Stuff that you see in Atraxa and Hapatra. So Blowfly Infestation and Crumbling Ashes.
Kolrath Knight or Everlasting Torment?
Both. Yep. Kolrath Knight says that creatures my opponents control with any counters rather can't attack or block. And yeah, the other card, Everlasting Torment, is a pet card of mine that I really like. So all damage is dealt as though its source had Wither, deals damage to creatures in the form of -1/-1 counters. It's excellent in the Scorpion God.
Yes, it is.
Again, I did not get it out.
No, you had the black creatures have Wither.
Yes, I had
in the third game, yeah.
Corrosive Mentor, and that was pretty good.
And if they have Wither, then they don't have Infect.
Yeah, correct, yeah. So Everlasting Torment turns Infect off, because all damage is dealt as though its source had Wither. If it's dealt as though it had Wither, it doesn't have Infect.
Okay. You could still run some Infect in there, though.
Yeah, you could. And there's only one card that turns it off, so there's no reason you would have to play it or that you would even necessarily draw into it.
Or you can use it politically.
Yep.
That too.
See, I'm not the Infect player, you guys.
I'm the Wither player.
I'm just taking you through a history of -1/-1 counters. That's what I'm doing.
A history of pain.
So the discard and the wheels. So that was like a personal spin on it.
Yeah.
It was a personal spin, but it was mostly to synchronize with the Archfiend of Ifnir. Because if you have Archfiend of Ifnir out and you wheel for 3 or 4 cards even, that's pretty devastating for your opponents. Yeah. And it doesn't hit your stuff. It's kind of like you just played a Black Sun Zenith that only hit your opponents.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, definitely. And then with the Nest of Scarabs, same thing. Whenever you put one or more -1/-1 counters on a creature, so if you wheel and your opponents have 10 creatures between them, I think each trigger is separate. Yeah, each discard trigger on the Archfiend is separate. So if you wheel for 4 cards and your opponents have 10 creatures, you're going to get 40/1/1 black insect creature tokens.
That's a lot.
Yeah, so that would probably be pretty game-winning right there.
They don't have haste, though.
That's true. If it gets back around to you, it's going to win you the game, probably.
Did you use his activated ability very often?
I think I used The Scorpion God's activated ability once to kill Patrick's... Ooh, what was it, Patrick? You had something that was a 5/5. Oh, it was your god. I think I put a -1/-1 counter on your god.
Yeah, it was so you could eventually take him with Necro Skitter, I think.
Yes. I did steal Patrick's god with Necro Skitter, which I haven't talked about. Necro Skitter says, whenever a creature with a -1/-1 counter on it dies, you may return that card to the battlefield under your control. And Patrick was running the Scarab God. I did kill the Scarab God with -1/-1 counters, and I did reanimate him with Necroskitter.
Mm-hmm.
All right. It was just the once that you use the activated ability? Did you usually have better things that would put -1 counters on everything?
I did. I think I just have maybe a bit too much of an expensive deck, but I think one turn I actually took a whole turn off to cast Liliana Deathwielder, so that was pretty expensive.
Yep, and that's how you killed my god.
And that's how I killed your god. What else was I doing? I think I was putting out a lot of my... On the game where I was really doing things, I was putting out my discard enchantments. So Liliana's Caress, Megrim, and Bottomless Pit kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, I should have been more on the Scorpion God. I was running Heartstone, which makes the Scorpion God's activated ability cost 1 less, but it also affects the other gods, because they also have activated abilities, and this is a symmetrical effect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't use my activated ability very much. I don't think I used it at all.
Yeah, Nate just wheeled.
Yeah,
Nate
wheeled
also ran wheels.
I think he also had a couple draw discard triggers.
Yeah, a couple of looting things.
Yeah.
Patrick, you used your god's ability a couple of times, I think, to reanimate your own graveyard.
Yep.
I think yours has the best activated ability.
Agreed.
Patrick's definitely does, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I pretty much relied on the rest of my deck to do the -1/-1 counter distributions, and only use the Scorpion God when I really needed to.
All right.
I think if I had built your deck, Dean, I would have focused a lot more on that activated ability.
Oh, yeah?
I think there's room for a very political / snipey kind of deck there, where at the end of turn, when a whole bunch of damage after like a combat or something happens, you just snipe off a couple of creatures with -1/-1 counters.
Oh, that's true.
Start drawing up, or you can be like, hey, I'm going to make this board a little bit more approachable. Bonk. Go ahead and attack.
That's expensive, though.
It can be.
That's expensive. Because unless you have the Heartstone out, it's
3 per activation, but you can do things like Strionic Resonator or whatever to really start like...
Oh yeah, Illusionist Bracers would actually have been very good with the Scorpion God.
So there's another area that you could go in. I think that also means you could also turn that into more of a control build there. I'm not sure how viable it would be, but it might be worth looking at if I was going to build him.
Sure.
Let's see. Should we move on to the Locust God?
All right. I'll talk about the Locust God now. It's 4, a blue, and a red. It's a 4/4 legendary creature god with flying. That's pretty cool. Whenever you draw a card, hey, I do that anyway. Create a 1/1 blue and red insect creature. Get this. It's a token with flying and haste. That haste is pretty cool. The flying is too.
It's nasty.
The activated ability on this, 2 blue and a red. Draw a card, then discard a card. I don't remember using that, because I had better stuff to do. And when this thing dies, return it to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. So I think the play style of this, it's oddly similar to Omnath Locus of Rage or Krenko Mob Boss. You're just doing what you're doing and you get a mess of tokens. But if your commander is not on the board, then your deck is not doing much. So the goal is ramp up to 6 mana fast. I used a lot more rocks than usual outside of artifact commander builds. But if you have a Mana Vault or Mana Crypt, you might want to throw them in there. I used 4 2-drop mana rocks. I used 2 3-drop mana rocks. and a Thran Dynamo, and I stopped there. So the victory condition is, Plan A, hit him with a flying hasty token swarm. Plan B, Perforos, Impact Tremors, or Throne of the God Pharaoh with your token swarm. Plan C, Niv Mizzet the Firemind with all the wheels that you'll be playing. Plan D, hit him with the big flying beaters. I got Crown Ludovic's Opus, I got Kefnet the Mindful, Consecrated Sphinx, Niv Mizzet the Firemind, Arjun the Shifting Flame. All of them are big, they're flying, and they do something with your card draw. Now Plan E is to cast the Eldrazi Titans and use their Annihilator. And if Kozilek and Ulamog are your Plan E, then you know you got something going on. And Plan F, this is pretty difficult. Mill out your opponents with all the wheels that you're playing. And the reason that it's difficult is some of these wheels shuffle the graveyard back into the library. So, if that's your plan, maybe don't play those so much. The card draw can get pretty stupid, especially with Alhammerit's Archive, so Laboratory Maniac is a possible win condition if you want to go that way. So, since we're making tokens, here's some red tricks I got from Krenko Mob Boss. Skull Clamp. You got a little token, you pay 1 mana, you draw 2 cards, and with the Locust God you get 2 tokens. If you add Ashnod's Altar to that, and you have 3 tokens, then you can get infinite hasty flying locusts.
Ooh. Well, wait, are they actually infinite, or just as many as you have cards in your deck?
Oh yeah, you are limited by your card draw.
Well, unless you can shuffle back in somehow.
Yeah.
Pseudo-infinite.
It's a lot.
Yeah, or you could lab man yourself out.
Right.
It's true.
Mm-hmm. So, it's not infinite, it's however big your library is.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Throne of the God Pharaoh. It's a recent artifact. It only costs 2. And you count how many creatures you have tapped, and all your opponents take that much damage. Hey, I got a lot of tokens, and they all have haste and flying, so they're going to attack, and they're going to be tapped. Everybody take damage. Eldrazi Monument. I like that card. It gives them all +1/+1 and makes them indestructible if you sacrifice one of them in your upkeep.
Should be pretty easy to do.
Mm-hmm. Now, I don't run Coat of Arms in this, but I do run Shared Animosity, which is a little better in red.
Mm-hmm.
You count up the number of locusts you have, subtract 1, and all your locusts get that much power increase whenever they attack. Now, Confusion in the Ranks, that one's a little tricky to play, but if you're planning on ending the game on your turn, you can take everybody's creatures and give them 1/1s.
Yeah.
Yep.
Confusion in the Ranks.
Yeah.
What is that?
It's a good little tech for red token decks.
Oh my. That's a card.
Yeah, so if I get a bunch of 1/1 tokens that all come onto the field at the same time, I can trade each one of them for one of your creatures, and then they're mine.
Everybody gets to become a locust.
Breath of Fury. If you can get one specific locust through to an opponent who can't block it, then you can send all the rest of your locusts to someone else and then get another combat step and do it again.
Whew. Are you running Coastal Piracy or Bident of Thassa in this deck?
Yeah. Oh, that comes later when I talk about the Niv Mizzet tricks.
Oh, well, Breath of Fury with either of those cards means infinite token attackers.
Oh, yeah.
Well, pseudo-infinite.
You're just going to double your tokens.
Yep, and keep on putting Breath of Fury on them.
Mm-hmm. I already mentioned Perforos and Impact Tremors. Mana Echoes. Once a Locust God was announced, Mana Echoes kind of spiked pretty hard recently. I think it might have tripled in value or something.
Sure did.
So if you didn't have one before, maybe think of something else.
Well, it spiked, but now it's a little bit more reasonable now. It spiked for a day at triple the price, and now it's probably 1.5 what it used to be.
It seems to have settled at $24.
Whoa. What was it at before?
Is it about 10 or 15?
Oh, okay. So yeah,
somewhere in there.
I thought it was like a $5 card for some reason.
It used to be. Once upon a time. So those are the Krenko token tricks. And yeah, if you're running a Krenko Mob Boss deck, look over the cards I just mentioned. Now, Niv Mizzet. This is the other half of this kind of deck. You're playing wheels. You're playing lots of wheels. There are wheels that put my hand back in my library, and then I draw that many. Arjun the Shifting Flame, Mind Moil, and then these cute little guys, Whirlpool Rider, Whirlpool Warrior, and Whirlpool Drake are creatures that when they enter the battlefield, or maybe when they leave the battlefield, you shuffle your hand into your library and draw that many cards. Let's shuffle everyone's hand to the library. Teferi's Puzzle Box, Day's Undoing, Time Reversal, Time Spiral, and in red, Molten Psyche and Winds of Change. Let's discard my hand to the graveyard and draw that many cards. Forgotten Creation, Fateful Showdown. You could kill somebody with that card.
Done it before.
Yep.
Yeah, at one point you had a hand of 50 cards. That Fateful Showdown would have been lethal.
Yep. But I had more than one opponent at the time. And I think if I did that with the Alhammerit's Archive out, I would have milled myself out.
Yeah.
And I don't run Lab Maniac, so there.
Not spicy enough for you?
It seems like the deck would devolve into that.
I think Henry Stukenborg approves of you not running Lab Maniac.
Cool. Yeah, I like the plan A through F that I have already.
Yeah, sounds.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, you're running Library of Lang, so you should be fine anyway, so long as it's out on the board.
Yeah. Let's make everyone discard their hand into their graveyard and draw that many. Windfall, Jace's Archivist, or in red, Wheel of Fortune, Wheel of Fate, Reforge the Soul. Now, I mentioned Eldrazi Titans. The main reason I have the original Kozilek and Ulamog in here is so that when I discard them, I shuffle my graveyard back into my library, because I'm wheeling so much. Elixir of Immortality is a possibility, but I actually think that's too slow.
For your deck in particular, I would agree.
Yeah, it's got to go fast. Stuff like No Maximum Hand Size, Reliquary Tower, Thought Vessel, Library of Lang, and Venser's Journal. That one can be handy. And Anvil of Bogarden is technically included because everybody skips their discard. Then we have stuff that just draws us cards. Alhammerit's Archive, I mentioned. You draw twice as many. Nin the Pain Artist. I haven't been able to play her, but I think she would be awesome.
Probably.
Yeah. Recurring Insight, Brainstorm, Miko Koro, The Land, Consecrated Sphinx is perfect in here. I don't usually play him, but in this deck, yeah, why not? Rhystic Study gives me locusts on your guys' turns. And Coastal Piracy and Bident of Thassa if I want to double my tokens when they attack. In addition to drawing cards, looting effects, they count as drawing cards because you draw the cards, then you discard them. Hey, did you know Dak Faden can loot 2 cards?
It's his often unused ability.
Yeah, it's one of his abilities. I completely forgot what it was.
It's so good.
Yeah, but I was looking at Is It Planeswalkers, and hey, Dak Faden, I like taking your soul rings, and I can loot 2 cards. I think I'll put them in there. Then there are lands like Gaia Reach Sanitarium, Desolate Lighthouse, and Cephalid Coliseum is a weird one I hadn't really considered before.
Oh, I like that card.
Yeah. There are cycling lands that when you cycle them, you're discarding a card and drawing a card. But if you use them as a land, they all come in tap, so I'm not going to use them.
But if you have your Alhammerit's Archive out, you draw 2, discard 1.
Yeah. But I don't have any tutors going for Alhammerit's Archive. It's just luck if you get that. Well, not really luck, because you're going through your deck 7 cards at a time.
Yeah.
Had you thought about running Johnny Crass's favorite card, Bazaar of Baghdad?
Bazaar of Baghdad? Is that where you draw 2 and discard 3? Mm-hmm. Is that a land?
That's the one.
Yeah.
It's expensive.
Oh, well then I'm definitely not doing it.
Not too expensive for... Okay, yeah, that's crazy. It's a mere $650, Nate. It's super worth it for this deck, right?
Thank you. No, thank you. And since most of the creatures I'm using are flying, I put in some weird stuff like favorable winds and gravitational shift, which gives a minor stat boost to all my flying creatures. Or gravitational shift gives a -2 to all non-flying creatures, which is kind of neat.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much the outline for my deck.
So your deck was super effective. You won 2 out of 3 games.
Your deck was very explosive and very quick.
Yeah, it depends on the ramp. It's like Omnath, Locus of Rage. If you don't get the ramp out and you don't get them out early, then it's not going to happen for you.
Yeah.
I noticed you talked about Mikokoro. That draws everyone cards. I know you're usually not a fan of symmetrical effects like that, but for this deck in particular, where you're sort of outvaluing your opponents, would you consider cards like Howling Mine or Font of Mythos?
I don't like those because my opponents get the card draw before I do.
That's true. What about Dictative Krufix, where you could flash it in before your turn?
Yeah, that's a possibility. It's kind of tricky, though, because I'm holding up mana.
True.
And let me check how many instants I have in here. I don't think I have that many.
Your opponents don't know that, though. You could be holding up a counterspell.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna. I have 5 instants, and I'm not using anything like Leyline of Anticipation or Vidalcan Orrery.
Oh, I also have 5 instants. Patrick?
I have 8.
Oh. We almost got there.
Patrick wins the instance count game.
I was the control player?
I was also a control player in a different manner.
I guess. I don't know.
I was trying to be anyway.
I had counterspells, so I controlled the board.
I did get, in that third game, I did get Nate down to 0 cards and keep him there.
That's true. So I guess moving on to the Scarab God?
Yeah.
Sure.
All right. Well, I had the Scarab God. I also had the least amount of time to put my deck together because he was spoiled last.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
That's true.
By about like 2 days. So I kind of compiled the list as quickly as I could. And it needs some tuning. It's a little slow to face off against either deck, but I think if the game ever goes beyond like turn 5, Scarab God's going to win. And to read him, he is 3 blue-black for a legendary creature god for a 5/5. At the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent loses X life and you scry X, where X is the number of zombies you control. He also has the ability to blue-black, exile target creature card from a graveyard, create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a 4/4 black zombie. So it's the excise mechanic, right? Is that
externalize eternalize.
Eternalize. There we go. It's the eternalize mechanic, but costed at 2 blue-black for each creature. I believe out of the 3 of us, I definitely used it the most. I brought back a couple zombies at instant speed so I could scry a little bit deeper, / make everybody lose. And I also used it on Dean's big game hunter to kill off his god to get him out of the way for an attack.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. As far as building the deck, it's basically if you take a like a bog standard Grim Grin deck and add it to Lazav, you kind of have the cross section of Scarab God because you have zombie tribal and you have milling. There's not a lot of cards that do both. There's a couple which are really cool, which are Undead Alchemist and Dread Summons, where Undead Alchemist, is a zombie, and if a zombie you control would deal combat damage to a player, instead that player puts that many cards from the top of their library into their graveyard. And whenever a creature card is put into an opponent's graveyard from his or her library, exile that card and put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield.
And That trigger remains even if you respond to it with the Scarab God's ability, doesn't it?
Yes.
So you could reanimate the card at instant speed and still get a 2/2 out of that.
Yeah, because it's not a replacement effect.
To the Brewmobile.
Yeah, that's really fun. And Dread Summons is a pretty fun card. It's actually in my Gonti deck currently because I do big black mana things and I need some chump blockers sometimes. So milling out everybody is a pretty good time for that. So once I realized that it was basically Grimgrin and Lazav, I kind of tried to see what I could do out of it. I'm not sure my build is the correct build at the end of the day. I really wanted to go with more zombie tokens if I could, because making your opponents lose life equal to the number of zombies you have is stupid. It is. I believe, let's see, I did a Scry 5, a Scry 5, and a Scry 6. I think I bottomed almost all of the cards in my Scries. I didn't really care. What I really was after was dealing 10 damage total to the board, then 10 damage to the board, and then I think the 6 was only against Dean, so that was just 6 damage. But at the end of the day, that's a really good clock and finisher for anybody to have. So a lot of my spells ended up being ways to bring creatures from the graveyard as zombies, no matter what type they are. So like Grave Betrayal does, and does it for free once you get up to 7 mana, which is really cool.
What's Grave Betrayal do?
Whenever a creature you don't control dies, return it to the battlefield under your control with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. At the beginning of the next end step, that creature is a black zombie in addition to its other colors and types.
Oof.
So that is a way to just
hoover up the zombies.
Yeah, hoover up all the creatures and make them into zombies.
How many board wipes do you run?
I have, let's see, 1, 2. I have 2, which is, I should have put more in there.
Well, zombie apocalypse counts for humans.
Yeah, does kill humans.
Grave Pact is sort of a board wipe, not exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, and you have Cyclonic Rift, but that doesn't kill anything.
Yeah, I mean, this is part of the problem that I had with the deck, is I was very torn on where to actually take it. I didn't know if I wanted to focus on the mill or if I wanted to focus on the zombies. And if I had done a better job about choosing my spot, I would have probably done a little bit better in the games. Been a little bit faster at the very least.
Well, you won one more game than this guy did.
That's true, but that was because the game went real long.
And we teamed up on him early.
Yeah, we didn't want him to win the third game. So, in terms of cards that are probably like the best card ever for this deck, Mind Crank. Because, if you have a zombie out and you have your Scarab God, at the beginning of your upkeep, everybody mills one because they just lost life. And then you can then reanimate anything that is going on in there, which sounds great.
Oof.
Let's see. Altar of the Brood, if you're going to go with tokens, is awesome. You're just going to start, just milling everybody by creating, your Army of the Damned 13 2/2 black zombies or something like that. That's just 13 cards right in the graveyard. Those are like great cards for the deck. They're just great. They're fun. I also was running Training Grounds to just turn the ability into a blue-black, but I never saw it, so I can't actually tell you if it's any good. Liliana the Last Hope, her ultimate is pretty much everything this deck would want, but getting her to that ultimate is like impossible. Because she comes in at 3. You need to keep her around for 4 turns to get her up to 7. And then on the 5th turn, you need to ultimate her. I think if this was tuned a little bit more into like hardcore control, the combination between Liliana the Last Hope and the Scarab God is just a finisher. That would just be...
yeah, definitely.
Because you're just going to get the zombies.
You could do it with a Deep Glow Skate.
Oh.
And then you can reanimate the deep glow skate with your commander. Oh my.
That's a trick I missed.
It's not a zombie, though. Not a zombie.
Yeah.
Well, it would come back as a zombie, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be. Would. We could also and because I was running so many like actual zombies, I decided it wasn't worth it to run Xenograft or Conspiracy.
Yeah.
Because I think ultimately I only had like 5 or 6 non-zombie creatures, and they either make zombies or Consuming Aberration, which just seemed like a great card for this deck.
Sure. I would recommend more zombies, though.
Yeah.
Because you have
I think so, too, definitely.
27 creatures, which is slightly low.
Yeah. Like I said, I felt very... what I really wanted to do was try to make more token zombies than anything else. But, I mean, it's very possible that this is just the wrong build.
Yeah, there's no Rooftop Storm.
Yeah, I needed to cut some 7-drops.
Oh, yeah.
It happens to the best of us.
Yeah.
I think I would have cut Grave Betrayal before I cut Rooftop Storm, though. Possibly.
I don't think I ever made it up to 7 mana in the first place. I've played this deck 4 times, and I've never made it up to 7 mana. So my land base is probably wrong for it.
Oh, you have 36.
Oh wait, no, I
lands.
take that back. I did make it up to that. So when I got Urborg and Cabal Coffers, I did make it up to that, man.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Looks like you're kind of low on mana rocks. What is it?
Yeah.
Like 3?
Yep, I only have 3.
I don't know. Do you count Ashnod's Altar?
I do.
Okay, so 4-ish. Expedition map might be 5.
Yeah.
I would add 2 lands.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nate likes lands.
Yeah, there's a lot to chew on. I think this commander feels like the most open-ended out of the 3 gods to me.
Yeah, I agree with that.
He
could just reanimate anything.
Yeah, he can reanimate anything, and then you can really focus on the life loss, or you can focus on the zombies. There's so many ways to go about him.
I think you might have done better with that Liliana if you hadn't been facing Nate's flying token swarm.
Yeah. The dream would have been for him to wheel and then like not attack for some reason, and then I tick her up and take out one of the locusts with -2/-1.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like Nate.
Nope. Nope. That was the dream, but
they're flying in haste. They're not going to sit there.
You know, I think Altar of the Brood might have been really good in the Locust God too.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I put the mill plan as Plan F, I think.
Yeah.
Because
not a lot of slots for Plan F.
Yeah, that's after I cast Kozilek, Butcher of Truth. Mm-hmm. That's Plan E.
Do you usually do Plan A through whatever it is, Nate, for your decks?
Well, Plan A worked. Well, let's see. Plan B worked for the first game, and Plan A worked for the second game.
Yep.
And I didn't get enough ramp in the third game for any of the plans to work.
Right.
As far as recommending cards that are just ridiculously good, Relentless Dead. That card is just stupid good.
Yeah, you pulled some tricks with that.
He is dumb. I never got to use his second ability, but he's dumb. If I had more open mana for most of the game, I could have started returning zombies to the battlefield and return him to my hand at the same time. Because they're two separate triggers, so you can return him to your hand and pay X and return a zombie to... Yeah, but he's also expensive right now because of standard. Mono black zombies.
$13.
Yep.
So when does that rotate out? Get them cheap.
Get them cheap. Not Ixalan, but the one after Ixalan.
Would you run Gravecrawler on this?
I cut Gravecrawler.
Huh.
I've never...
That's super sad.
I've never been impressed with him.
Really? But he's just an extra zombie. That's all you want.
I know. I needed to cut, and so I cut him, because I'm never impressed with him. He's probably better than I gave him credit, but just... I wanted to prove a point. You can have a zombie deck without him.
Like, what about Gisa and Geralf? Like, aren't they just sort of redundant with your commander anyway? So
no, because Scarab God is a one-time use on any particular one.
Well, then you've also got Havengulich, though. Havengulich.
You may cast target creature card in a graveyard this turn, and Havengulich gains all activated abilities of that card until end of turn.
Yeah, I realized in our last game that I played with him that I didn't have a Chromatic Lantern, so I couldn't actually cast a lot of creatures.
Oh, yeah, that is sort of a downside of him, isn't it?
He doesn't have the Gonti trick where
you can
all your mana counts for whatever.
Yep. But the real difference between the Scarab God and Havengulich is that you're casting with Havengulich. So if it's any Eldrazi, you can just steal them out of, like, say, Nate's graveyard as they hit there when he discarded it.
Hey.
Bump, pay out, and then...
If it's your turn, right?
No, it doesn't matter.
Well, you can't cast it at instant speed.
Havengulich.
It doesn't change.
Oh, that's a good point. That's a
Yeah.
good point. Oh,
Doesn't change timing restrictions.
that's sad. Then I'd probably end up cutting him.
No.
Yeah, I mean, he's good, but
Poor guy.
he's a redundant effect with the commander. But with the Scarab God, he's at instant speed. So you can still take care of your Kozilek. And then I would have...
Then you could have a
little
4/4 black zombie Kozilek.
Yeah, little Bobby.
Getting all cozy.
I did like the find of Unholy Grotto for my deck. Put target zombie card from your graveyard on top of your library. But, I mean, that's just... I like non-basic lands.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
Yeah, it's a zombie-focused version of Volrath Stronghold, which costs one more to do.
And Stronghold is way more expensive.
Yeah, it is.
Unholy Grotto's not cheap.
Yeah, it's $5, but it's not Stronghold.
Oh, is it 5? I thought it was more. Oh yeah, no, never mind. Don't mind me. It's not that bad.
Huh? I also liked Shepherd of Rot, since you're also going so wide with zombies. May as well start draining.
Yeah, you were carving us up with that thing in game 1.
Well, for like 2.
Yeah, but you did it a couple of times.
Yep. He did some work for a 2-drop.
And then Nate Locust us to death.
Yep.
All right.
Locust did.
Because Alhammerit's Archive and Wheels is pretty good together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Pro tip: you can't politic your way out of lethal damage when your opponent can kill both of you.
Let me try that.
Hey,
I'll try that. I'll prove you wrong. You
could win the game right now, but why don't you not?
Yeah, you could just not. We could keep playing for a while.
We could play another game.
Yeah.
Instead.
Yeah.
Okay, what did our decks have in common? Patrick's deck and my deck has Command Tower, Cyclonic Rift, Reliquary Tower, and Soul Ring. And Islands. And that's it. That's all that we have in common.
I don't think that's very surprising. We have very different goals in mind.
Yeah, we do.
I think we'll have more in common because we both ran Wheels.
Okay, the Scorpion God and the Locust God have in common mountains, Gaia Reach Sanitarium, Library of Leng, Reforge the Soul, Soul Ring, Thought Vessel, Wheel of Fate, Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah, that seems reasonable.
Let's compare you two.
Patrick, did you run that sorcery for 3 blue black where everyone mills 2 and then you reanimate a creature from any graveyard?
Extract from Darkness.
That's the one.
I actually cut that.
Oh, okay.
From the list. I'm trying to remember why. I think I cut it because I was focusing more on the zombies aspect, and if I was going to reanimate anything, I wanted it to be a zombie in addition to its other types.
Sure, that makes sense.
Yeah, so it wasn't like lining up with my game plan, I suppose.
Let's see. Taking a look at your deck list.
Okay, comparing Dean's deck and Patrick's deck, you have in common Swamps, Bajuka Bog, Cabal Coffers, Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth, Soul Ring, and Waste Knot. You both have Waste Knot.
Mixed zombies.
Yeah, you do.
Also, I knew I was going up against a wheel deck, so hey.
Yeah, but you didn't expect that I was also a wheel deck, did you?
I didn't particularly care.
Yeah, I mean, it would extra help you to have 2 wheel decks.
Too bad I never got it.
Yeah, me neither. I never got it either.
Oh my goodness.
What?
I just did a comparison on your Scarab God with my Crown and Ravos 4-color zombie deck. And we have 37 unique cards in common.
Interesting.
This is a zombie build, mostly.
Oh, so would you guys both run Hearthstone? I think it helps you the least, Nate.
I wouldn't.
No?
Yeah, I didn't really use the ability. I know I could use it on another player's turn if I suddenly needed a flying blocker. That could be cute, but I got other cards that do it much better for cheaper.
Yeah, I think if you were going to, you would just run the training grounds.
Yep, I'm in blue anyway, so training grounds.
Well, you both are. I would have run training ground. No, I wouldn't have. It doesn't help me extra.
Yeah, you don't have 2 in your cost.
Right. Yep. So the only benefit would be because it doesn't help my opponents.
Don't help them. They can help themselves. Let's see, we talked about our games, didn't we?
We referenced them.
Our last game. Game 1, Perforos is good in the Locust God.
Yeah, he beat face.
Perforos is busted.
Yeah.
You actually ended up winning by using Perforos's activated ability that game, didn't you? You boosted your team by...
Yeah, I did.
Whatever.
I think I had enough for 2.
Yeah.
So there were 3 1s.
Oof.
I had flying 3 1s, and I had a bunch of them. And Perforos had already softened the life totals. Game 2, Chasm Skulker is pretty good, is kind of similar to the Locust God eventually.
That was the game that you had a hand of 50 cards, and I think you killed me with like an 80-80 Chasm Skulker with Swiftfoot boots, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Put the boots on him, and he was. I think I cast 3 wheels, and Chasm Skulker was out the whole time, and I'll Hammer Its Archive was out the whole time. And I couldn't cast 4 wheels because then I would draw all my deck and be dead. So make sure you, if you're going to use Alhammer Its Archive, keep an eye on how thick that library is, because you might mill yourself out. Unless you're playing Laboratory Maniac.
Yeah, I think I would have been okay with you milling yourself out.
I think we tried to suggest it to you as well.
Nate wasn't having it at all.
No, I think 50 cards was enough.
What are you talking about? There's
can...
another 40 cards you could draw, no problem.
You think you could win the game with 50 cards, Nate?
I think I did.
I think you did.
I think I did. And I think I had Fateful Showdown. But if I cast Fateful Showdown, it would have only killed one of you, and then I would have milled myself out.
Would have ended up at 100 cards that you needed.
So in game 3, I didn't last long because I didn't get the ramp. But these guys lasted.
Yep. Yeah, I was able to get that Archfiend of Ifnir out on turn, I don't know, what, turn 4-ish? 5-ish?
Mm-hmm.
And I got a bottomless pit package going. That was pretty helpful. I got Nate down to... What did I use? I used Stronghold Rats, I think, to make everyone discard, and then I cast Skullren to make you discard 2 more.
Yep. And you had Liliana's Caress and Megrim out at that time, so we were taking 4 at a time.
Right, from the bottomless pit. I think, actually, Liliana's Caress and Megrim ended up not being so helpful after you guys had no cards in hand, because you would draw your card for the turn, cast it, and then have nothing else to discard, which was unfortunate.
Yeah, that's why I have Gaia Reach Sanitarium and Miko Koro and Temple Bell in my Nath of the Gilt Leaf, because if the Nath of the Guiltleaf deck does what it's supposed to do, nobody ever has cards. And then you stop getting your elves, unless you can make them draw.
Right. Well,
maybe
Nath of the Guiltleaf is sort of the inverse of the Locust God, isn't it?
Sort of, yeah. In Color Pie, certainly.
Well, no, yeah, but no, I meant because you get tokens for making opponents discard, whereas this one gets tokens for you drawing cards.
Yeah. So maybe there's some 4-color deck that has both of them and Nekuzar together.
best friends.
That sounds really disgusting.
Include pain. May as well include a painful quandary in there, Dean.
Yep.
That way, even if we did cast the cards that we drew that turn, we'd have to take a bunch of damage.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Well, you would choose to discard another card and have no card to discard, I think, actually.
Can you do that?
That's a good question.
I don't think you can choose to discard if you don't have anything to discard.
Well, you can choose to discard depending on whenever loses. So it's the smart way of wording it. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, that player loses 5 life unless he or she discards a card. So discarding a card.
So if you're out of cards, you're out of luck.
It's a prevention.
Yeah, that would have been good. That would have been really good.
Yep. So, final verdict on these guys? Thumbs up or thumbs down?
Oh, I like them.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Thumbs up.
I like them more than the other gods from the previous set. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The monocolored Amonkhet gods were sort of just, I don't know, reflections of the monocolored Theros gods, I thought. Oketra was basically just Heliod.
Yeah.
I do use Kefnet the Mindful in this Locust God deck, though.
Yeah, Kefnet was fine. I mean, he actually draws you cards, where Thassa just scryed and made your creatures indestructible.
Unblockable?
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry.
Yeah.
All
right.
Pets update. Murder.
We get special Pets update music.
Yeah.
Cool.
I spent hours writing that one so I could be cool like Nate.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell I put a lot of work and sweat and tears.
I could tell.
Yeah.
I could tell. Yep. It really came through. It had a lot of heart, Patrick.
Thank you.
Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad it touched somebody's heart.
You touched Nate's heart too hard.
With a wooden stake.
Pets update. Murder.
Pets update, yeah, sure. So Hattie, our dog, she sleeps in bed with us. She's part Chihuahua, so she sleeps under the blankets. And now that it's summertime, it's really hot. And we need more AC. Because it's kind of like having a hot pad in bed with you.
Yeah, we have the same problem. Our dog desperately wants to cuddle with us, but it is too warm. So he's like, I'll be over here, really close by, in case I am in need of you. But it's uncomfortable.
Is the separation his choice or your choice?
His.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Hattie has no such compunctions. She's all up ons.
Oh, speaking of pets in the bed, the latest cute, adorable thing. One of my cats, when she wants to wake me up, she'll crawl up on my chest, and she's purring really loudly and giving me Eskimo kisses. And then she rears up and inhales real deep and sneezes in my face.
Oh, beautiful.
And runs away.
Embarrassed.
It's like a wake-up call from an angel.
A very moist, explosive angel.
And for Talon, we brushed his teeth this week because it was about that time, and you would have think we actually killed him based on his reaction. He whined until it was over, and then he just kind of like laid down limp as if we had actually killed him. And he was just like, we're never doing that again. And he actually has no choice in the matter, really.
His will has been defeated.
Yeah.
Need better tasting toothpaste, I guess? I don't know.
I don't think he just likes people going near his mouth.
No, that's his mouth.
No, it's his mouth. I mean, maybe if he had like
you have your own. Yeah.
If he had a proper like mouth and not like just an insane underbite, he might actually not need as much teeth brushing, but he can't do anything about the underbite.
Aww.
Yeah, I think it would be weird if someone else brushed my teeth.
If you can't brush your teeth, you got to find somebody to do it for you.
Definitely.
Those
are our pet updates. You can tweet your pet updates about your pets to us at Command Time. And if you don't have a pet, why don't you adopt one maybe? We've got one right here that I'm going to send to Nate and Patrick right now, and maybe we'll talk about them. Check that Skype link right there.
Oh, look at him. His name is Flynn.
Yes.
He is a Jack Russell Terrier Mutt Agree mix. Looks like he's young. And
yep,
he's
1.5 years old.
Yeah. What a cute guy. He has little ears.
He's got like little one ear's all crooked in comparison to the other one, and his eyes are a little bit like that too. But he's sweet. We can drop a link in our show notes with this guy.
Where is he?
This guy is North Shore Animal League of America.
Yep,
so I searched for my zip code, so he should be in or around Rochester, New York.
All right.
Yeah.
Get your New York dog here.
We don't talk like that in Rochester.
You could.
Yeah.
You can start it now. Teach your daughter how to talk like a proper New Yorker.
I mean, I am from New Jersey, so.
Hey, I'm from Jersey.
Yeah, we don't talk like that in Jersey either.
Well, how do you talk in Jersey?
Kind of like the way I talk.
Hey, that's cheating.
You sound normal.
I know.
All right. Next time, we're finally going to play that Anti-Storm episode that we've kept talking about but gets cut. And it's going to be Evolve Your Meta. And we're going to talk about anti-instants and sorceries.
We're really going to do it this time.
I promise.
Yeah.
Unless something cool happens.
Like those storm decks. Those decks that cast like 20 spells a turn. You got to stop them from doing that. We'll talk about how to stop it.
Yeah. Outro song.
Yeah, that was great.
Hey, you've been working on yours too.
I know, yeah. Did I touch your heart?
Yeah, I really did. I was excited.
Sweet.
Visit us at patreon.com/commandertime.
You can find me on Twitter at Grubfellow.
At Detective Yarmits.
At Mr. Plorg.